So as I had mentioned before, peripheral neuropathy has become a big part of what we help our patients with in our practice. And I've come to know a lot about it in terms of what causes it, what modalities and therapies exist in the natural setting to help patients resolve this otherwise can be debilitating condition. So 2 years ago, I took the opportunity to sit down and write a book, Neuropathy Breakthrough book. It was intended for the layperson, the person suffering with the neuropathy. It's not intended for as a medical text by all means, but it's a book to be able to share with people who might be suffering and know someone, a loved one or family member suffering with neuropathy, that there are ways to be able to heal from this condition outside of the traditional allopathic approach, which unfortunately typically consists of very potent neurological drugs that suppress at best the symptoms, but don't do anything to work what I call upstream to fix the underlying causes of nerve damage. And so I wrote the book as an intention to let people know what these therapies are, the fact that they have existed for many years, relatively inexpensive, easy to use, and a lot of it can even be self-directed at home. And again, coming back to the Avazzia, we will often provide our patients an Avazzia device, home-based devices to use at home, as many as 1 to 2 times a day. So the book was made for that intention. I also share in the book what are some of the common causes as to why nerves in the periphery. And I describe to patients, peripheral nerves are basically the nerves outside of the brain and spinal cord. So once you exit the spinal column, all the nerves, whether large or microscopic in nature, are all considered peripheral nerves. And there's different reasons why they can become damaged. And one of the most common causes that I've seen over the years is due to inflammation. It's a low-grade type of systemic inflammation, as we call it, that can etch away at the surrounding surrounding sheath called the myelin sheath on the nerves. And I fully explain this in the book. But what's interesting and what's really nice to know and what can be helpful and provide patients or potential patients some hope is that medical science, neuroscience in particular, has proved many years ago that these nerves have the capability to heal. They just need the right environment. And fortunately, we do have technologies like the Avazzia that assist in that healing process in a natural way, and it feels great. And I've seen the results now for several years with peripheral neuropathy. As I had mentioned before also, I like to tell patients that we help our patients with the nervous system from the brain down to the feet. And most recently, we've come to be involved in brain mapping and neurofeedback therapy. And it's a wonderful therapy that, in a non-invasive way, is able to retrain dysfunctions in the brain. And we use this with both children and adults suffering with cognitive and emotional disorders. And what I've been doing more recently in the last several months is using the Avazzia device, particularly the Pro model, with the onboard electrodes, with the Y-bar electrode, and also the ear clips that they sell as an accessory, and using some of the different frequency sets to start looking at what we can do to influence balance or restore brainwave function. One of the settings that I've used is 0.5 hertz, and I will get into that with some training. But we're basically using it in a fashion what's called transcranial electrical stimulation. And there have been devices on the market for several years now that work much the same way. They're microcurrent devices with ear clips, and the person simply sits back in the convenience of their home while they're watching television, reading a book, or even sleeping. And there have been numerous studies showing the effectiveness of this type of therapy for conditions like insomnia, anxiety, depression. So I'm exploring that avenue now, in fact, looking to do some pre- and post-brain maps, and in the interim, use the Avazzia technology with some of its different frequency sets and accessories to see how we can gently kind of coax and retrain the brain in that fashion as well. So I'm excited about that work. And again, the wonderful thing about this, it is completely non-invasive. The patient feels a very mild tingling sensation, and it can really help calm down their nervous system and their anxious brain and provide them a good night's sleep. So there's nothing wrong with that.